Welcome back to Aging with Power. I'm Myles McNamara on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And today, great show, folks. We're talking with Ms. Pam Geyer of Henry Mayo Hospital, the pain management nurse specialist, and regarding opioids, opium-based medications that she shared some statistics before the break that are, just staggering. 23,000 accidental overdoses in 2013 alone. And you compare that to the other things that get our attention, like Pearl Harbor and 9/11 that Pam referred to. But again, Pam, this is amazing, and I know you've made it your mission to bring this out into the light, so to speak. And I'm curious, out of these 23,000 that were accidental, that's not even taking into account the people who do it purposely, what would build up to someone accidentally overdosing on pain meds? You would really have to take a boatload of pain meds inappropriately to die. How does one get to that level?
Well, there's kind of several ways you can get to that level. One level is people who have conditions that are associated with pain. And if I break it down to its simplest, and this is, again, very simple buckets here, you have two major types of pain. We have acute pain, which, Myles, if I socked you in your nose, you'd probably say that hurt. Why did you do that?
Give me a pill.
That's the here, you know what I mean? That's the here and the now.
Right.
That happens. Acute pain, surgical pain, injury pain, accidents, things like that happen. Sometimes those conditions can develop into what we call chronic pain. Now, there's another term for that you'll hear. It's called neuropathic. But basically what it just means is you've got a pain nerve cell that is hit so many times with a stimuli saying pain, 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 it actually changes. It kind of changes how it appears and how it responds. That becomes more difficult in a different type of management than an acute pain episode. Acute pain, generally, really within 6 weeks to 3 months, you should be moved on from that. Chronic pain hangs around for a longer duration, and sometimes it's there for life. Now you say, if something's there for life, okay, I got to learn how to wrap myself around that. Okay, and the wrap around it may not be more and more medication. However, that's the pattern that patients get into and some practitioners get into. Well, if this isn't working, then give me more. And then give me more.
And does the body build a tolerance so you
the
do
body
have to
builds
take more?
Yeah, the body builds a tolerance, but what happens also is I give you so much medication that your body has what we call hyperanalgesia, which means everything is more painful than it should be. So if I touch you, you go, ouch, that shouldn't hurt. I probably should be able to kind of give you a good sock, and it doesn't really hurt. But we place patients into these situations where if I'm sitting home and my pain is just so unbearable, if I take a little bit more, then maybe that'll help it. But you're not getting more relief on the pain. Now what's happening is you're impacting the brain and those other systems in the body, such as those that are responsible to make us breathe. And too much narcotic stops people from breathing. And that's really the sadness of this, is those are situations where timely intervention, you guys may have heard of, there is a movement, and it's been approved by the FDA for over-the-counter naloxone, or we call it Narcan in the hospital. And really what it does is it binds with that opioid right away, and boom, can bring people out of those situations that are hanging on death's door. So first responders in many communities are using them. How insurance is going to cover it, I haven't been able to find out. I'm trying to figure that one out. Do we make it affordable? Should anyone that is taking prescription narcotics in a high dose or what is above, what you or I might take if, I cut myself or something like that, have that in the home.
And what's it called again, Pam?
It's called naloxone or Narcan. And Narcan is the trade name for it. Naloxone is the generic of it. And so that's
Naloxone,
really...
and what was the other name?
Narcan, Narcan. And so that, I think, will help with these prescription opioid deaths.
Is that just for really severe cases, or do they use it to help people
wean off of
like
it?
No, it wouldn't be a
our
weaning.
friend here.
It's absolutely somebody that has been taking medications of a very high dose. So let's kind of talk about what drugs would fall into that category. The start-off medications when you have pain, and everybody that's out there probably can sit there and say, well, gee, I've had a Norco, I've had a Vicodin, I've had a Percocet for pain. What are those drugs? Well, Norco and Vicodin are hydrocodone, which, just for everybody's information, California is the number one consumer of that opioid across the nation, all our states. Which kind of says, wow, do people hurt more in California than they do anywhere else? No. So we've got another issue there that we have to look at. Why are we prescribing so much within this state to people? Percocet is oxycodone, which also is an opioid. Those medications within those categories are combined with acetaminophen, which might be known over the counter as Tylenol. And everybody says, well, if I've got pain and I'm taking narcotic, Tylenol is not going to do anything. It absolutely does something. And I really think we kind of need to talk about that, because there is an escalation on these medications that oftentimes, the adage is start low, go slow. But man, we amp people up really fast and they get in trouble. And when they get in trouble is when these types of things happen.
Well, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we will continue this conversation. So don't go away, folks. Put those pills down, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Aging with Power on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back, folks. You're listening to Aging with Power on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I'm Myles McNamara, joined by co-host Diane Blair, and we are talking with Pam Geyer of Henry Mayo Hospital regarding pain management and the opioids and the, as we mentioned before, the epidemic in our country of the monitoring and such of this medication. And Pam, we were talking before the break about the difference between addictive disorder versus dependence, and how you, as you say, wrap around that and get that quality of life. So let's continue that path of what you see and what our medical providers are doing that may be misstepping.
Well, I think I'll lay a little foundation history for you really briefly. All of this kind of grew out of in the 90s, where people genuinely thought, well, my gosh, opioids are really bad. People are going to become addicted. So we undertreated many people for painful conditions. So out of that came several very good things. The whole perspective of pain is what the patient says it is. Your experience is unique to you. My experience is unique to me. That's where things such as saying, well, this person has this pain tolerance, my threshold's different, I can only do this. That's all very true on it. However, as professionals within healthcare, we have to take that information and utilize that in assessing the entire person. Well, then what came about was we're going to assign a number to pain. And anybody that's ever had a chronic pain condition knows the scale, 1 to 10.
Someone asked me that one more time, I was going to smack them.
Yeah, and it really doesn't say much, because you think about it, and if you're in pain, it kind of makes sense. The bigger the number, I say, gosh, that must mean I get more medication. So I'm going to say 10. When in reality, if you look at that and you assess what do those numbers really mean, a 10 out of 10 really are soldiers on the battlefield. You've been run over by a bus or a truck, or you've had extremities that have been pulled off or something. It's so horrific that, thankfully to God, most people in their lifetime will never ever ever experience a 10 out of 10. Right? Most experts, when they look at it, will put labor and delivery, which those of us who have children, that's pretty gnarly experience there, at 7 or 8. Now, the men out there are saying, yeah, I knew it wasn't that bad, but we really, okay, but it still hurts, okay? It still hurts.
Not saying a word.
So we kind of now have gotten to a place where we're treating numbers. And we can't treat numbers.
And we're not qualified to see. That's the thing when I
Yeah.
had my accident. I wasn't qualified. I'm like, I don't know. I would just pick a number out of my hat.
Yep. It hurts
Yeah,
bad.
exactly.
And I've not had any other painful experience like this, so jeepers, maybe that is that level. And so in looking at this, and in light of the current epidemic state, accrediting agencies started looking at this too. The Joint Commission, which if everybody isn't familiar, they're kind of like the IRS for institutions. Make sure we do the right thing the right way all of the time. They looked at their pain management and their standard and added a functionality requirement, which is so critical. And it sounds like it's just a word, but it's not. What we're looking here is your ability to function. Can I get myself dressed? Can I make a meal? Can I get up and go to the bathroom? Can I participate with my family? Can I do my job? Reconsider our treatment options here. So the Medical Board of California came out with guidelines in 2014 to help practitioners do that. The various nursing boards across this country are relooking at that assessment piece to say that maybe someone that has training and critical skills can help you with that. And I might say, Myles, okay, you know what? I realize that you're in pain, but let's look at what we can do. And what would you like to do? And unfortunately, as we get older, we're all going to have some degree of pain in our body. The body ages, arthritis, all those things we did when we were invincible and young, we pay for them when we get older. So pain becomes something that we have to learn to adjust to. And instead of having the pain sit here in the front of our eyes, we have to find a way to put it behind so that we can move forward in our life. And that's the very difficult piece when we're just treating a number. Now, many folks that have a chronic pain condition, and I understand debilitating, difficult life to have to continue and live through, we need to manage that pain. However, managing pain does not mean zero. A very good pain specialist colleague of mine said, when patients tell them they want zero pain, he tells them, you won't have that till you're dead. Okay, and that's, you can say that's harsh, but it's like, man, that's reality. Okay, that's really telling you that this idea that we put in people's minds that you have an entitlement to have no pain. Pain is a good thing for the body too. Okay, it tells us when we're in a dangerous situation and something really bad could happen to us, such as, children learn to pull their hand away from a fire. Why? Because it hurts. So it's a protective mechanism for the body. So we don't want to dull all of that away. It also kind of tells us what our limitations are. I don't think I can, rock climb, too much. I definitely would feel that, not only from a fitness standpoint, but then also that's really arduous and painful and difficult to do. My body would tell me no. So we have to be able to categorize that and look at it and still have compassion for people. It's all about compassion and caring and nurturing, but it is not quality life to live receiving continuous IV opioids, PO opioids, and whatever other, you're adding to that. Because unfortunately, those that tend to be at risk for this loss of life situation also are at risk for use of other things, be it alcohol, benzodiazepines, all kinds of things can fit into that cocktail that place them at high risk.
And tying in the functionality aspect of it seems like a no-brainer, but I know when I was going through my PT and OT at Henry Mayo, it was like you had to give me the number question, but it was also more of like, well, can you do this? And if not, then they would adjust my pain meds. And I realized my toenails were not getting clipped because I couldn't get down there to do it anymore. And it was an interesting, because again, we see a lot of our adult.
Let me put that picture
our
in your
senior,
hand.
Our senior clients, a lot of times you look and their toenails haven't been cut in forever because it hurts to get down there and do that. But we have to take another break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion. But that whole functionality versus just a number. Hello, duh.
Yep.
All right, don't go away, folks. You're listening to Aging with Power on your hometown station, AM 1220, KHTS.